In the past discussion, we were with that particular baseline, that is reading a data from a data table, and dr points to the data table object we can create by ourselves and fill that data table with the data that what dr is pointing to. So dt.loadout, dt has been loaded with dr as a reference. So from this reference it gets the data and dumps the data into the data table. And finally, data grid view dot data source is where is the source of data for the grid view means dt is the source, but dt has that nature. dt is a background programmatical object which can deal or which can handle table of data, but whereas data grid view is a presentation layer object which can present the table of information. So that is where we were, and let us continue our work. So in the continuation of this thing, in the same reader we had control. If you can see, this data retrieval panel is there. If anyone clicks on the data retrieval panel, we'll be getting a data and of the first record, and if you click on the next, it will fetch the data from the next record, and like that I can traverse to all the records of the table. So here is a retrieval panel available, so through which I want to read row by row. So I want to deal with row by row, and in that respect, so I've created a panel in the left side. Let us do some work for this particular panel. I'm taking that panel design. I'll copy that panel design and I'll paste into our particular thing. So let me organize this place in a proper way. So move the things. Aside and put it aside. That work we have to do now. And what I do is, there is a grid view what I have already trained. Let me put it at the top, and then fill grid button, just right set to this, and you can enter some data of a student number and it just reacts to that. So, and this grid view is auto generated grid view. Data will be populated directly from this. Now in this respect, if you can see, what is left over means there is a retrieval panel and I want to retrieve row by row. So there is a next button available. If you just see the name of this next button, btn next record, double click on this next button and use the existing way of mechanism of reading the data. You had some reading mechanism here all over in the button fill. The same style of code you can use it again, using the same way, but there is a small thing, like whenever we need to traverse through the records and deal with the records, grid view doesn't suit. Grid view is a retrieval of data and loading of data as a whole. So individual records we can't able to deal when it is with the grid view. Whereas today I want to prepare for that reason, whenever there is a necessity where customer needs to have a view of individual records or some elements of a record. So at that point of time you may need to hard code the things, or you may need to write some logical coding in such a way you want to interact with the row by row mechanism. So for that reason we have created this data retrieval panel separately, and then I have taken one button, next. If anyone clicks on this button, next, what should happen means it should read in one sense it should read the record by record. So that is what the thing. So one thing is, when you have a button with name fill grid, so what is happening, the query has been decided and that query will get executed. Data table is having data. Now I want to use the data table. So data table is having data, but the data table is been filled from dr, of course, but the data table is being assigned to an visual control That is what data grid view. Now that work I don't want. So let me just use the data table. So when I want to use this data table outside of in an outside function like next record, which is a next event handler. So when it is here, I want the DT to be available here. So I just prepared the reference outside such that I can use DT here. So using DT, I want to traverse to the records. Okay, or if I am using DT, there is a more flexibility is there. So but a topic at the top, you see the header, execute reader is the topic. Okay, so by mistake I have taken DT, I'm sorry. So DT is not a topic. Topic is execute data reader. Why? Because next topic will after one topic we just come across data table, working with data table. So here we may need to work with data reader, SQL data reader. So using data reader, which is already available to you, so can you navigate and can you just traverse to the records and fetch the data? So that is what our requirement. So in that respect, I am using dr dot, and there is a function that what I said, like dr.read. The moment if you call read, what happens, it will read the that means, I mean to say, what is read means, read will make the cursor to move to the next record. Initially dr is pointing to the before first record, now it is pointing to the first record when anyone clicks on the next record for the first time. So when it is pointing to the first record, then I am thinking of dealing with populating my text boxes with the data. So text box which is having which want to represent column 1, I have taken into my hand. So d dot text is equal to dr of 0. That means the dr pointing as of now pointing to the first record. In the first record we are having some 4 columns in the database table. One record is having 4 columns, and we want to fetch the data from this particular record, all the 4 elements of the first record. Okay, so let me show you one pictorial view of this. Just one second. So I'll open Visual Studio. Yeah, it is saying network error. Just so just start the SQL Server service, which is temporarily stopped, and say OK. Close the window, and now you try to connect it. Expand the database DB3, and in the tables we'll find the table, and right click on it and select 1000 records. Now when a pointer is pointing to the first record, now it is pointing to 1011 record. So how many elements are there? 4 elements are there. So dr is pointing to first record, dr of 0 in the sense call 1, dr of 1 means call 2, dr of 2 means call 3. That means when a pointer is pointing, if you want to use all these, if you want all these 4 columns, you get it. If not, you want to get any of the column element, you can use their index dr of 3 and you can fetch the date of join and you can leave it. So, but in our case, we are getting the total data and we are using the total data. So, from the 0, that means the column 1 value of the table, we took it, we converted into string and we attached to the first text box. Obviously, we took one more string which is present in the position of 1 and assigned to second text box. Position of 1 means here we can find column 2 value. So, and then obviously we can able to go with another work continuation, something like text box 3 with the third one. With fourth data. So that means now read is a facility that what we had due to as that facility is right available with us, we are able to fetch the elements present in one record. But is that sufficient? Now every time anyone clicks on the next record, again a read process will be done. That means it will point to the next record, that means 1012 record, then fetch all the elements in the 1012 record and then assign to the text boxes. Like that it just keep on. At a point of time it reaches 1017 and then it fetches the element. Again when you just click on next, immediately read, that means next record, immediately read will return a false value. So how come you say, put your cursor over there, it will say return type of read is boolean. So return type of bool is something like return type of read is boolean. That means we should write some simple condition over here. How long I should fetch the record? There is a limitation. How long I should fetch this record? Fetching this record job is started here, and but how long I should do? There should be end, no? That end record is when it is not returning true. When it returns false, we mean to say that it has reached that endpoint. When it has reached endpoint, so we may put some message box saying like, please this is the no more data available. So that is one systematic way. When anyone clicks on next again after 1017, so it read it but it gave false, then it jumps here and says like no more data available through dr. But if you carefully see, one simple issue is we can traverse only in the forward direction. That means from the record 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 7th record, all the records got fetched. So can I start my work to coming back from the 7th record to the first record? Means no. So reader is a pointer, so it will move itself, and that is what is happening when it is been working like this. So let me execute. I clicked on execute, control F5, then I got an window. I clicked on execute so and so reader. The moment I clicked on it, a window came. In the window, one is done through smart tag, which has already data that that grid view is showing data because it is been driven with smart tag, so no need of actions from the user. Here I am giving an action like simple fill grid. What happened to fill grid? I'm sorry, here yeah, read is not been called dr. So what I do is, so I just uncomment this, the below code, next button code. So now you give the first number. Now it has read from 1012, and then now I'm saying like keep If you click on continue, ignore, application will close temporarily. Invalid attempt to call read when the reader is already closed. Okay, because why reader is closed means it is already fetched. So what I do is till this we want one more copy. Take a copy from table 1. Q is there, command is there, Q comma con, and delete, and even parameters I don't want, and I kept this dr as dr1. So that means I want to create one more reference, dr1. Now in this second section of code I work with dr1. Because now when I just click next record, I got the first record of data through another reader, because the previous reader is already been closed, because data grid view, it has fetched all the data and it has closed it, auto close. So what we made is we created one more dr and we read one record. Click on one more time, you'll get 1012 record. Actually, so keep on clicking next. Okay, so why actually when we run for the first time, this left side section has been driven with dr. Okay, so that will work as usual, like 1013 is the starting value of the student, and I just want to click on fill grid. Okay, click on fill grid. Oh, there is already one data reader associated with this command. Because two topics we have written in the single window, that is the trouble. Okay, anyhow, this is navigation is working. We'll put this data retrieval in a separate form. Okay, actually in the code that what I am sending is having in a separate way only, I clubbed it. If you see, this is retrieval and right side is through smart tag. So okay, fine. Now I'll take here the flow of algorithmic steps are like this: connect to the database, read data through data adapter, and then populate the data into the grid. Okay, so connect to the database, read data through data reader, populate the grid. Okay, like that we created an comparison form as well as learning data adapter things. So for that reason I just want to take one new window. Yeah, so simple. Connect to the database, read data through data reader, left side. Right side is read data through data adapter. Okay, populate the down grid view. Right side populate also will populate the down grid view through the adapter. Right side one is through the adapter, left side one is through the reader. But we don't know how to deal with adapter now. First we'll learn about how to deal with adapter first, then we'll start comparing the both in a single application. So hope you got that. So now that disconnect I didn't try, like just 1 second. What is my idea is till this one. So that connect, read and populate is my idea initially. So slowly I'll enhance myself because there are some limitations over here. Now here when I just come to that respect, so I just want to take the design of this and do the same work. Like here I'll add one new form. So take a new window and put it as data adapter something, data adapter demo. So whatever window is having, so whatever the name that what window is having, you can put the same name, data adapter demo. Say OK. Design anyhow you copied, that we'll get it and put it here. So left side portion of the code dealing with connect, read and populate, that we already learned in the previous topic. It's very easy for us to understand. Now let us do one thing. First, establishment of connection. Connect will do the job. Double click on it. Establishment of connection work should be done over here. Point number 1. Number 2, so reading mechanism should be done in the read logic. So one is two buttons with the same text it is having, but you see the title, its ID is btn read one, read data 1, another one is btn read data 2. So obviously you're having something like populate and you're having populate 2. Okay, so you can see the difference, that is where. And names, IDs are different. One is left side and two namings are right side. So that we can take. Double click on read 1, double click on read 2 as well. Okay, and here disconnect logic is required, that I'll say what is the purpose of that, as well as populate 1, populate 2. So now read 1, read 2, disconnect and populate 1, populate 2 are the buttons that what we had. Let us write the right side portion. Center buttons are common for both the jobs. Right side buttons are specific to the adapter and left side button is specific to the reader. So connection mechanism is a common for both the people. So let us establish a connection. So you know that we may need to use one namespace. Please add a namespace, data provider, data dot SQL client, semicolon. That's one thing. So second thing is about connection in command and all the things you had in the previous topic. So please get it. So please do copy here and get the required references, and that's ready. And the read, there is a small correction. So now I don't want to rely on SQL command object. Read 1 is not my focus, read 2 is my focus. Double click on the read 2. In read 2 I'm having a connection in my hand, so no command object. You see, I didn't create any command object in the con_click, so I don't want command object as of now. So without command object I'm taking some other object support in order to fetch the tabular of information. So what is that object means? Something like data adapter. So simple. So SQL data adapter DA is equal to new data adapter. Before we used to take some help of SQL command, and through the command we call some function and such that data reader will be populated, and that is one style of coding. This another style is directly speak with adapter. Adapter will make the data to flow. You see the nature of adapter. When you just ask the object of an adapter, it has some three overloaded functions are overloaded constructors are there, wherein one of the constructor it has is which accepts a query, SQL query as an argument, of course in the form of string, and connection under which it has to run. So simple equation. So what is a query and what is a connection? So query also is required for us. In natural we just take a similar but a reading is different, benefit is different actually. So q comma con, okay, so we understood that it is taking query comma connection, and then DA is right ready. So what I just want to do is DA dot fill off. Now I want to populate a data table into the no, that is data table dot load. Through data reader I can able to load the data table, but this is data adapter is trying to fill a data table. Of course end of the day the same thing what is it is correct, that we are filling data table. Of course once if the data table got filled with the full of data, now populate is a function, populate2 is a function using the data table, it needs to populate the grid. So data table object name I want to put it as dt2. So because there will be another data table for the left side data reader also, so not to get confused of it, we kept a data table 2. So data table 2, yeah, here also data table 2 is been filled. Okay, so we need to create an object of data table, of course, so that will be done for here. dt2 is equal to new data table, open and close, done. Now in the second populate function, you are having a data grid view in your hand, so please fill that grid view. Data source is equal to the second data table which is available, and your job is completed. This is a natural process till now, so this is expected process, and we won't feel much strange in writing this kind of code. Only the library new thing that what we learned is there is a library definition with name SQL data reader, data adapter. Through instead of creating an object of SQL command and using functions like execute reader and again pulling the data through data reader, all this process gone with a one single line. So it just simply reads the data and it has to populate data table in the next flow. It has done it, and once if it got populated to data table, then I want to divert it to presentation tier. That is what a presentation control, and it will present it. So in that respect I want to add in the home design, I want to add a control. Instead of this I want to take one button F4 and say this is data adapter, even the name that what we have also we can put it as btn data adapter. Double click on this and already it's mapped to one function, so remove that and double click there itself, then it will create a new one, and you are having a window, data adapter demo window object I have created. Called show on that, show called, then it is retrieved. Once if I click on this button, this form got created and I connected to the database, I read some data from it, populate, then it got populated. Okay, this is the expected one basic expected thing, how to deal with data adapter over, but it's a simple job. So click on connect, that will connect to the database, and then read. So through data adapter it is reading the data and it's filling the data when we just click on populate. Okay, but this is a basic topic. Yes, so the additional benefit that what we had with data adapter is, now we will see, like in the disconnect con dot close, that means connection has been terminated. Okay, now you just see, um, this job, instead I do here, can I do here, SQL data adapter is created, but populating data table and all the things has been done. What happened? DA is not available. Good. If DA is not available, bring it out. DA gone. Okay, error gone, and then you can see here DA is available. DA doesn't exist in current context. Build succeeded. Control F5. Data adapter, connect, read, populate. So it's working like as before, only the small changes in the code, but the benefit is, if I connect, if I read, and if I disconnect the connection, now populate, even with the we can populate same code if you just write it. Exactly, so it has an facility of preserving the things, preserving nature it is having. Okay, now when we just come to the reader, the same code of reader, I'll copy the previous program, a reader. Now when a reader comes into the picture, it needs a query. Certain things I'll do some correction, like, so select asterisk from table 1. What I do is, can I mute yours, because I'm getting echo. Whenever you got a doubt, you just unmute it and speak with me, no? So now what is my idea is, there is a query with name select asterisk from table 1. Reader is there, reader has a query, connection, no parameters. I don't want to confuse you by just putting parameters here. Straight away data reader will, of course, data reader object we should create, a reference we should create, and let's do that here. Data reader reference is right ready. Data reader is having the reference of pointing to the thing, and now till this point it's fine. This is all reading job, no? So remove and put it in the populate function. Populate, the purpose of populate is the same, like if anyone clicks on this left side populate, then its job is use data reader and fill data table into that. So that's good, and assign to the things, just to optimize the code. Only the thing is, individual data tables within the event handling, if we are having data table, benefit is it will die after it has done its job. It is good. Now just see what is the process which is happening, first connection. Okay, left side reader, a reader will come into the picture, will create an SQL object and will take the query, connection, execute and find where exactly data is. The data reader is pointing to that. Once if the data reader is pointing to that, then immediately it clicks on left side populate, then immediately it will come to the populate will create a data table and fills through the data dr, it fills the data table and assigns the data table to the grid. Now so connection is closed in the middle. If you close the connection, how exactly it works we have to see. So now click on data adapter connect. We can put some message boxes, connection done successfully, like that. So left side read done successfully, like that. We can put some message boxes, so that's up to you. And populate, it's working good. Okay, close, again open, connect, read, disconnect and populate. Nothing is coming. That means still the connection is there. Your that means your reading process is working good. But once if the connection is gone, it can't able to do it. Connect, read, populate, it's doing good. Connect, read, disconnect, populate, nothing is coming. Whereas adapter is not like that. Connect, read, even though you disconnect it, still it can able to populate the data. That is what the nature of an adapter. When there are a huge set of requests are there to the database, once if you want to put a request and get your data, and if you want to maintain a dump copy of this data in your premises, adapter is a good style. So where all the time it no need every work that what you do with the SQL queries. So every SQL query or SQL jobs that what we had in the project, so every time don't communicate with the SQL server. So once if the data is right in front of you, even though the connection got disconnected, that means less pressure to the SQL server, so still you can continue your job and you can proceed your things, and whenever you want to commit this one, you can commit. So simple. So that is the benefit that what we had whenever you are using adapter. Even it is connected. There is two things actually, connection oriented and connectionless. So this is working with connectionless style actually. So data reader is working with connected style. When it is connected, it's good. When it is not connected, it won't behave like as usual. Okay, is understandable, Lavanya?